Subnautica 2 is finally out, and I was really hopeful that we'd get a Mac version at launch, but tough luck. The previous Subnautica games are on Mac, but for this one I had to rely on workarounds. The good news is there are quite a few of them, and I'll tell you about the best ones in the next few minutes. But before you choose which one you want, you'll have to buy the game. To help you, we'll leave links in the description to where you can purchase it, and we'll also add links to discounts when such are available. Now let's get to the ways to play it. I'll begin with the two methods that I think are best for this game, and they align with the two main approaches to play games on Mac, locally and via cloud. First, let's cover Boosteroid, which is the recommended cloud option. I know many of you aren't fans of cloud services, and that's totally valid, but here's the truth. While you can play the game locally with CrossOver, the method I'll cover next, that path is less stable for Subnautica 2 in particular and requires some extra effort on your end until you get a properly smooth gameplay. So if you want the simplest, quickest way to start playing, Boosteroid is a strong choice. It's a good fit for Subnautica 2 because this is a demanding, atmosphere-heavy game that really benefits from higher settings and a steady machine behind it. With a stable connection, you get a clean 1080p, and if your internet is fast enough, say around 60 megabits, you can stream at 4K with any of its plans. I tested the 4K option with an 80 megabit wireless connection, and the experience was surprisingly close to native play. I mean, of course there was a very slight input delay and rare image compression during lag spikes, but none of that ruined my experience. I also figured out some in-game settings tweaks that surprisingly helped me bring such image compression instances to a minimum. I'll talk about them in a bit. Now I won't lie to you, you can tell it's not local play, but for anyone who wants a more hassle-free variant or who doesn't have a particularly souped-up Mac, Boosteroid is a genuinely decent option. All you have to do to start gaming is follow the link in the description, register for the service, and buy a subscription. Then just search for the game and click play. It's all pretty easy, but we have a how-to tutorial if you need it, and an overview of the service if you want something more in-depth to make up your mind. CrossOver is the solution that brings you closest to the native Windows experience. It's not without its quirks, but it's a very strong option for this game in particular. It will give you the ability to play anywhere you want without internet limitations, and scales better with newer Macs. The obvious main limitation with this method is the game's requirements. On my M3 Max MacBook Pro with 36GB at 1080p with temporal metal FX scaling, I saw about 50 FPS. That is playable, but it also shows how heavy Subnautica 2 is once translation layers enter the picture. If you are wondering what's the weakest Mac that can run this game via CrossOver, I'd say the bare minimum is an M2 Pro with 16 gigs if you want playable performance. Also, there were a couple of bugs at first, so you'll first need to deal with them before actually getting to the game. I'll tell you how to fix them in a bit. But despite that, and despite the performance limitations, I still recommend CrossOver. You just need a powerful enough Mac and a bit of patience, and Subnautica 2 will run just fine. Here's also what other users from the Mac gaming community report about playing this game with CrossOver. Also, with this method, you can use mods for single-player games, and there's a 14-day free trial. To use CrossOver, click the link in the description, enter your email, and download the app. Then, after you install CrossOver, you must click the Try Now option for the 14-day trial. If you need a longer tutorial, visit our video on that. Just note that the experience with CrossOver can sometimes vary between updates, so don't be surprised if it suddenly starts to break the game. If this happens, check our site for the detailed instructions, or you'll have to research this on your own. Now for the CrossOver fixes, if the game keeps asking you to install the Visual C++ runtime, open the Steam bottle and install the Microsoft Visual C++ 2015 to 2022 redistributables, then retry the launch. If it still loops, open Wine configuration in the Subnautica 2 bottle, go to the Libraries tab, and add these 5 overrides one by one. Set each one to native, then restart Steam and launch the game again. Another issue you might face is a crash right after you release the LifePod, and to fix that, open the bottle's C drive and go to this location. There, delete the LifePod Video Lowest file, then duplicate the LifePod Video Low one and rename the copy to lifepodvideolowest.mp4. Also, if your performance looks completely wrong, with frozen video or single-digit frames, quit the game and check the bottle graphics settings. Use D3D Metal and enable MSync. That should put the game back on the correct translation path and make performance look much closer to normal. In Subnautica 2, I treat the optimized settings differently depending on whether you're local or cloud. For CrossOver, start by setting global illumination, shadows, view distance, shading, and effects to medium instead of pushing them higher. Those are the big performance hitters, especially in wide ocean areas and dense vegetation. Keep textures on high because dropping them hurts clarity more than it helps performance, but use quality upscaling if the frame rate needs help. For cloud, the goal changes a bit. You can keep graphics higher, but avoid anything that makes the stream messy. Disable motion blur, avoid overly aggressive sharpening, and stay with quality upscaling rather than balanced unless you really need it. That keeps water detail cleaner and reduces compression shimmer during fast camera turns. The other methods are a variation of this theme. GeForce Now is the best cloud solution with all the bells and whistles, but at double the price of Boosteroid, it's just not worth it, except for a handful of games which can use the latest and greatest effects. Like Boosteroid, it's very easy to use. You just need to register, get a subscription, download its app, and start the game from it. xCloud is Microsoft's cloud solution, and it's by far the worst of the cloud solutions mentioned here, but it comes with the benefit of being free if you subscribe to Game Pass. AirGPU is the rent a gaming PC by the hour option. You buy credit, spin up a Windows machine, then stream it through Parsec or Moonlight. You pay by the hour and prices vary depending on what machine you rent, but the average is around $1. Then you also need to pay for local storage, which is $3.50 per month per 50 gigabytes with a minimum of 100 gigs. Shadow PC is the subscription version of the same idea, where the lowest monthly subscription fee is $34 for US users, and it only goes up from there. EU users get a cheaper plan option that costs €20 per month, but that's still more than twice the monthly fee for Boosteroid's base plan. Sikarugir is the free DIY version of CrossOver. It works great when it works, but it's more inconsistent, less intuitive, and has a lengthy setup. As for the setup, you first need to install Homebrew, then Sikarugir itself, then Steam, and then the actual game. The process takes a bit more time compared to the other methods here, and so is beyond the scope of this video. For detailed guidance on how to set up Sikarugir, just click the respective video in the description, and it will show you exactly what to do. Now that you are familiar with each method, here's how I'd go about picking which one to use. If you are firmly against cloud gaming, the answer here is obvious, and that's CrossOver. It is the best local method, easiest to set up and use, and even if there are occasional quirks from time to time, code weavers regularly update the tool and smooth those out. So with CrossOver, you get lower latency, offline play, and no video compression when your internet is sketchy. But the trade-off is clear. Unless you are on a really powerful Mac, you'll have to lower the in-game settings. And also, let's not forget that you'll need to dedicate 50 gigs of disk space for the installed game. Now, if you are okay with streaming the game, my first recommendation is Boosteroid as the best value cloud pick. It gives you easy setup, strong visuals, and no local troubleshooting as long as your internet is stable. GeForce Now is the premium cloud lane. It's more polished than Boosteroid but also pricier. Pick it if you really want all the bells and whistles and are okay with paying significantly more for your subscription compared to Boosteroid. Xbox Cloud Gaming is the convenience option if you already have Game Pass Ultimate. It is not the prettiest stream, and you can only play with a controller, but it is simple, and you do not need to buy a separate cloud subscription. Shadow and AirGPU are full cloud PC options. Pick those only if you want a whole Windows setup and are okay with more cost and more setup. Last but not least, Sikarugir is the power user's choice. Like CrossOver, I can confirm it works for Subnautica too, but setting it up is not as quick or simple. Generally, Sikarugir is the least user-friendly option here, but it's got the advantage of being totally free, so it's definitely not something to overlook. So here's my quick take on the methods. Use CrossOver if you really want to run it locally, and Boosteroid for its value and simplicity. GeForce Now and xCloud are also good cloud alternatives for different types of users, and Sikarugir is the designated free local option, but only for those with patience and free time on their hands. So these were the best methods for playing this game. If you want to explore more popular gaming titles you can play on your Mac, check the videos that should now appear on your screen, or simply browse through our channel. Also, if you found this content helpful, we'd greatly appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to our channel. Take care and see you in the next one.